Techmet is a private critical minerals investment company. We invest primarily equity in projects that either produce or refine and process and recycle the critical minerals that go into the EV ecosystem and the energy transition more broadly, building either dominant minority positions or controlling positions in those projects across the middle portion of the value pipeline. There's two primary challenges. One is that the necessary scaling of our industry to adequately supply the battery metals and rare earths and copper and other ingredients of energy transition technologies has been left much too late. We as an industry needed to deploy $100 billion 4 years ago to avoid the cliff of short supply of these materials over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So, there's a massive challenge in accelerating that scaling of volume of supply in order to meet the accelerating drivers of demand. So that's the first big problem, and it's a big problem. And there's a lot more talk and attention on this supply-demand dislocation and its implications for climate change mitigation and global industrial and energy and mobility transformation, but there's not nearly enough action. And in fact, the gap is widening, not closing. The other big challenge is to implement this transformation of our global metals and mining, critical minerals industry in a manner that is both ESG compliant and low carbon footprint, to be a responsible feeder of the energy transition, and is not beholden to Chinese control over global supply chains, which they have very successfully built up over the last 15 years while everybody else was sleeping. And that's been a good thing in the sense that China has invested, or Chinese interests have invested, hundreds of billions of dollars in building capacity to produce and process these minerals, which we need. So without them, we'd be in bigger problems. But it's not healthy to have one global power control global supply. From a balance of geopolitical landscape point of view, and from obviously an industrial competitiveness point of view, and a national security point of view in the United States and Europe and elsewhere. Yeah, recycling is certainly, or recycling of lithium-ion batteries and battery waste, which is all that we are involved in the recycling space, is very important on a number of levels. It's important environmentally to deal with manufacturing waste and batteries. It's important from a value point of view to put value back in the pipeline to reduce the technologies requiring batteries. And it's very important to put products or battery metals back into manufacturing pipeline to displace the need for Chinese supplies or supplies from newly mined and processed materials. So recycling will be an important part of the EV and general battery ecosystem increasingly over the coming years. Not to the extent that displaces the need for a lot of more mining. I mean, our view is that in 10 years' time, a fully optimized battery recycling ecosystem could supply up to 25% of the materials or the battery metals needed for new manufacturing of lithium-ion batteries. So it's materials. So we were the primary funders of a company called Li-Cycle, which is now the biggest lithium-ion battery recycling company in North America, which we listed on the New York Stock Exchange about 2 years ago and exited our position from very, very successfully. And we're now funding a next generation lithium-ion battery recycling technology company in Texas and building the first 2 commercial plants. And that's a different model. It's a much lower capex modular solution to refining black mass to recover high purity battery metals that you can, co-locate with sources of black mass from primary processing of batteries. So we are still very committed to the rollout of that next generation membrane-based technology around North America and Europe and elsewhere in the world. It's an enormously exciting time. I mean, we're very fortunate to be a little bit ahead of the wave, having started to build our projects and our portfolio or expand existing projects 6 years ago now. We have very exciting projects that we're either funding the expansion of or late stage development of across North America, South America, Africa, and Europe. And we're at a very, very unique moment in history. The world is at an inflection point going from, I guess, 200 years of a global industrial infrastructure driven by fossil fuels to, a global industrial and technological environment that will increasingly be driven by specialty metals. And that transition won't be smooth, and it'll take 10, 20, 30 years, but to be at the forefront of how the supply has to transform in the context of that massive global shift is enormously exciting and fortunate.
Resourcing Tomorrow, accelerating the energy transition. 100 plus countries represented. And together with government representatives, mining and energy professionals, ESG experts, financial and professional services, industry associations, investors, and consultants, Resourcing Tomorrow will address critical mineral supply, the energy transition, environmental resilience, the circular economy, ESG, our future workforce, AI automation and machine learning, digitalization, mineral processing and plant optimization, exploration and development projects. Have your say in the future of our industry. Join us for Resourcing Tomorrow from 28 to 30 November 2023. Register today